we have already posted can be shared tomorrow together with the other request that was made.
But I will kindly request to move to the next set of questions. I know these ones that got a lot of public interest. The other one may be specific. I'll just. So let's just get Masara 1 minute, then we take the next question in the order. So Mandugu, Chair, in case you want to step out.
Chair, on the issue of training, I have a proposal for the ministry. I know of chiefs who were employed almost 6-7 years ago who has never gone for any training. And that one, whatever they are giving to the public, to be honest, is substandard. You can devolve training in such a way that instead of all of them coming to School of Government in Nairobi, you can take them in counties where they are during holidays, where there are teachers training colleges. The instructor can come to those areas and then they can be trained. Actually, I'm very specific. In my area, I've wrote to you when I was in this committee last parliament, that I was ready to capacity, because we have money in the CDF for capacity building, and chiefs and assistant chiefs are part of our PMCs, you are to bring them to my place. I've never gotten a response to the same. Because in my area, I know chiefs who have been trained the way they handle their work, and the untrained one where there is a gap. So you need to roll this thing down, not because of lack of resources, the government may not train them at the right time at the School of Government. But the lecturers at School of Government, at times they lack what to do. You can have an arrangement with the county so that you can train these chiefs and assistant chiefs at the local level. It will be less expensive but very effective. That's my proposal, Chair.
Two things that we can take from the Honorable Masara. First of all, the schools, the School of Government is already, we are in conversation with School of Government to decentralize the training. Because if you have about 13,000 chiefs and assistant chiefs, it will be unwise to bring all of them to Nairobi, to APTC for the training. So already the process is ongoing for decentralization. Maybe then, if, which is the second part of your request, if we know that we have a request from a member of parliament who has some resources and is willing to be deployed for training of chiefs, then we can work on a curriculum where the people training is ourselves. I mean, the standard, whatever, the ministry itself, and then the resources can be channeled in an agreed manner to say it will go to School of Government so that they can buy 1, 2, 3, 4, or they can meet accommodation, and then the training and the training curriculum can be done. That partnership, I don't see anything wrong with it. We're already partnering in building police stations. We are building together administrative units. Training for the chiefs will be very, very much welcome. I think let's just work on the curriculum, how it will look like, and the accountability for the same. Yeah, that's all.
Question straight to the Warriors and the rest. I know this one's specific to individual counties as opposed to the chiefs.
Maybe in the Senate. I've answered this question before. Mr. Chair, the Honorable Chairperson, members of the committee, the Member of Parliament for Garsen Constituency, Honorable Ali Wario, has requested a statement of the fatal shooting of Mr. Isaac Abdullah Jarso by KWS officer. The Honorable Member particularly sought to be informed on the status of the investigation into the killing of Mr. Isaac Abdullah Jarso, excuse me, and steps taken to apprehend the officers involved. Reasons for the shooting to death of Mr. Isaac Abdullah Jarso by KWS officers, action taken to prevent further confrontation between KWS personnel and local herders to avoid similar tragic incidents, measures to enhance good cooperation and relationship between the law enforcement agencies, local communities, and other stakeholders to avoid escalation of such incidents in the future. I wish to state as follows, Mr. Chair, a very long statement. But I also want to confirm that I have engaged the Member of Parliament on this particular issue in his county, in our recent visit to the county, and I appreciate the engagement we had. Mr. Chair, and this, of course, I must answer for the record for Parliament. First, part one, Mr. Chair, the status of the investigations. On 29 December 2024, and on approximately 10:30 hours, a contingent of 23 Kenya Wildlife Service Rangers embarked on an operation to remove cattle and others who had allegedly settled inside Savo East National Park. During the operations, the Rangers encountered Isaac Abdullah Jarso, now deceased, his family and friends at his Manyata. When the Rangers attempted to arrest the deceased, an altercation ensued, escalating into physical confrontation between him, his friends, and the Rangers. This confrontation resulted in the fatal shooting of Isaac Abdullah Jarso. At 10:45 hours, the incident was reported to Garsen Police Station by the area sub-chief of Kone sublocation, Mr. Said Omar, via OP number 18/29/12/2024. Officers from the Kone Police Post responded promptly and found the lifeless body of Isaac Abdullah Jarso, a 42-year-old male lying in a pool of blood in his home compound. The body had gunshot wounds on the upper right thigh. Investigations commenced under inquiry number 4 of 2024 of DCI Delta, with officers documenting evidence at the scene, recovering 4 spent cartridges at the scene. The body was moved to Malindi Sub-County Hospital mortuary for preservation, where a post-mortem examination was conducted, confirming that the cause of death was due to gunshot-inflicting injuries. As part of the investigation, statements were recorded from the key witnesses, including the deceased wife, 2 friends who were with him at the time of the incident, and 2 brothers who arrived after being alerted about the shooting. Additionally, statements were taken from KWS Rangers involved in the operation. To facilitate forensic analysis, all the 23 rifles used by the Rangers during the operation were collected and escorted to the forensic laboratory in Nairobi for ballistic examination. The ballistic expert report is yet to be finalized. The inquiry file was forwarded to the Director of Public Prosecution via letter number, DCI SEC-LCA/4/4/7 volume 11/92 dated 15 January 2025. In response, the ODPP, through letter referenced here, dated 14 February 2025, directed that several additional matters be established through further investigations, including the fire and ballistic report. The matter is still under active investigation by the DCI, and once concluded, appropriate action will be taken against anyone found culpable of the offense. Every effort is being made to expedite and conclude the investigation to ensure justice is served. Reasons for the shooting to death of Mr. Jarso. Mr. Chair, an attempt by the Rangers to arrest the deceased led to an altercation that escalated into a physical confrontation involving the deceased, his associates, and Rangers. During the scuffle, Isaac Abdullah Jarso was fatally shot. From the overview of the incident, it's clear that one or more of the KW officers may have been involved in the fatal shooting of Isaac Abdullah Jarso. However, investigations are ongoing to identify the specific officer responsible through a ballistic analysis to establish which specific firearms discharged the 4 spent cartridges recovered from the scene. Once the investigations conclude, our appropriate legal action will be taken against the KWS officers found culpable in the fatal shooting. Number 3, action being taken to prevent further confrontation between KWS personnel and herders. Measures being undertaken include enhancing coordination between security agencies, conducting joint sensitization forums with local communities on conservation laws and grazing boundaries, increase patrols in high-risk areas, promoting community policing initiatives to foster dialogue, build trust, and ensure peaceful coexistence between wildlife authorities and pastoralist communities. The last part, number 4, Mr. Chair, is the measures to enhance the good cooperation and relation between the law enforcement agencies, local communities, and other stakeholders. The National Police Service has instituted a comprehensive framework aimed at strengthening cooperation and fostering positive relations between the law enforcement agencies, local communities, and other stakeholders to prevent the escalation of conflict and ensure sustainable peace. Key interventions include: A, strengthening community policing structures. The government is revitalizing community policing initiatives by establishing and supporting Nyumbakumbi clusters, community policing committees, and dialogue forums that encourage continued engagement between officers and the public. Multi-agency collaboration of all the agencies and sister security agencies to working together. Number 3, civic education and public sensitization. I thank you, Mr. Chair.
To comment or?
Thank you, Chair. I'm not satisfied with the answers Of course, the late Isaac Jarso was murdered in December. Till date is 4 months, Mr. Chair. The KWS, through a press conference or advert, the following day they accepted that they murdered the Isaac Jarso, and they sent a condolences message to the family. Those officers from DCI, they took those 23 guns the following week to DCI headquarters. Till now, Chair, is 4 months. Is there a problem at the DCI for ballistic tests? Because, Chair, those cartridges were found, the body was found, and those officers went on duty. They were known. You know, that's justice delayed. Justice delayed is justice denied, Chair. And the CS has not given the timeline when this will happen. The arrest will happen, Chair. So I think, you know, the family is crying for justice, and the people of Garsen, the same crying for justice. You know, the life lost, person killed in front of his family, wife and children. It's very sad. You know, he was a madrasa teacher, this guy, very obedient. And then they said he was killed approximately 23 kilometers inside the park. There is a conflict of boundary. He's not killed inside the park. So, Chair, we want a satisfactory answers for the family and the people of Garsen so that those officers responsible can take him to the court. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Waziri, I've listened to you and also I've read through the statement. I think that is why they say sometimes a local action can have a strategic effect, because when we are told that 23 KWS Rangers were going to arrest an armed civilian, and in the process he was fatally shot, I think the sums are not really adding up. And I think this is a clear case of travesty of justice, that the minister is wanting to do a good job or at his headquarters, but somebody at the ground is really trying to make sure that the laws of the land do not add up in the end. So for that reason, the only good thing they did from the beginning is to follow the law, that all those 23 guns were actually confiscated and they were taken for ballistic. That is the law. But I think even among those 23 rangers, there must have been a commander. They must have identified who shot this fellow. If there was even confusion, then it could be between 1 or 2 rangers. So for that reason, listening to Honorable Ali there and also your response, I think as a committee, what we really want to ask of you is the DCI must, within the shortest time possible, give us a clear indication of people who must come before the law. Because if up to now nobody is before the court, it simply means this is an incident that will slowly die, will lose trace, and at some point now even files will disappear. So for that reason, I think the honorable member is very clear, and also you are very clear in your response. Please give us a timeline so that people must do their work. Thank you, Honorable Chairman.
Chairman, I also wanted to echo the same, that what is clear in this matter is that the KWS Rangers had a singular purpose in this case, to go and kill the person they intended to arrest. Because as the Vice Chair says, you know, 23 guns, and somebody shot in his own compound. The matter has taken 4 months. It appears it is a strategy, more or less,
so that, the matter cools, the public forgets, and then justice is lost. So, Chair, it is important that the minister pushes the DCI, because there is no reason whatsoever why the DCI gotten for the bereaved family. It is important, Chair, that it is expedited. Otherwise, let it not be a strategy, because this is a very poor person, so that the family loses. Thank you.
Because I don't think there is no much really extremely very worrying. 4 months down the line, in fact, from your own report, it's a clear admission by the KNWS that, of course, they did shoot. The only question was, which gun discharged the bullet? And as you're aware, it is under your docket. We have been allocating a lot of resources to the DCI, to including the forensic lab, so that the issue of forensic and ballistic becomes speedy. So the easy conclusion here, it's not rocket science. Somebody somewhere must be trying to cover up. That is the only conclusion and reason you can give. So I want to direct us this so that we don't belabor on this. Kindly, Buenos, it was not just for formalities and that we call you and this statement was sought. Maybe you can tell us maybe how much time you need so that you up and give us a follow-up question, a satisfactory question that is convincing that justice is being done to this poor Kenyan. Kindly.
Mr. Chair, unlike many other cases, first of all, let me say that we need to appreciate that this was done expeditiously. For a file to leave DCI to DPP is not, it can show the goodwill in the first place, that the question of cover-up is not there. The desire for the DCI to make sure that someone is prosecuted was there. It's just that the DPP wants certain loose ends be tied together. And so the intention to prosecute this person is there. And I don't think there is room for cover-up, because what's all remaining is the ballistic report.
It's very crucial.
Which is very crucial, and it's not going anywhere because you can't hide anymore. There's nothing to hide. You have the spent cartridges, you have the process being undertaken by DCI. I also want to confirm that I visited DCI when I became CS in this ministry, like 2 months ago. Yes, February. Mr. Chair, you need to really still support the lab. The lab requires a lot of resources, not just the fiscal resources we are giving, not just the money to buy a lot of the laboratory equipment, but you also need retention of human resource so that they can be able to retain human resource at a certain level. You also know that we have so many cases involving guns across the country. So there's a long line of ballistic analysis on different crimes, banditry, robberies, and so forth across the country. And so this is part of it, of the process. So, and sometimes each one of them is urgent. All of them are urgent. The magistrate is demanding the report to be presented in this. The DPP is demanding a report. So I can give assurance to the public that in the fullness of time, this person will be charged. There is no escape route. Somebody somewhere will be charged. The same way I gave the same undertaking on the case of Nakuru, which was also involving KWS. Maybe at some point, we need to perhaps have a meeting with the Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife, and particularly DG KWS, on disciplinary cases involving a number of the officers in KWS, not just in that area, but across, and how best that can be handled. You know, for the police, we have the internal mechanism within the police, and we have IPOA. So how do we handle the KWS? Do they have a mechanism internally to be able to deal with these officers? Do they even have processes of suspending these people until until their case is concluded. So even if they have not been charged, they should be able to take internal disciplinary measures until you can prove that the specific officer was involved. Like every other Kenyan, it concerns me that 23 people went to arrest one person. There is no evidence that that person was armed with a gun, and that eventually, you had to use a gun for 23 people against one person. I think it's an armed individual. So in the presence of his family, I think it is a matter of justice, and we must be able to follow this issue to the ultimate conclusion. So, Mr. Chair, maybe in our next session, you can prompt me, even if it is on different issues. We can be, by that time, we should see how far we have gone. I do not also wish to, because the police and the DCI operates independently, and I cannot direct them, I do not also wish to give an undertaking that in 1 month it will be done. But using our good officers, we must be able to facilitate and push them to do so. But what we will not allow is a situation where there will be cover-up in the end.
So do we say, fair to say, in good time?
Why don't we revisit this issue again in another 3 months and say in 3 months we can give an update as to how far we've gone, and maybe at that point in time we can come with the DCI himself so that he can also express some of the challenges he's facing. But hopefully in those 3 months, both the case of Nakuru and the one for Tana River will have gone to court, because you can see also DPP was dissatisfied on certain issues. At some point, it will leave the DCI, it will go to the DPP and to make a judgment on the prosecution.
Anyway, while on that, so that I give Wario or Liz, you raise a very, very pertinent question on definitely the role of the IPOA vis-a-vis the issue of gun rangers and other gun holders. Of course, their mandate is very limited to the police. And I think it's a conversation. I remember there is a bill being proposed by, I think, Senator for Bomet or something like that. Try to expound the mandate of the IPOA to include the game rangers. Because even these rangers in the game reserves by the counties, I remember the CS, our very good CS here, we went to Narok to launch these rangers to be NPR. And they have got very sophisticated guns. And at times, the regulations around how these guns are controlled is not very good, Buenos Aires. And it's good to admit that. You can even able to do an investigation. They don't report to our police command. And at times, these gun holders, including the game rangers, they become a militia of governors. In fact, in my own county, it is almost akin to that. It's an issue that we may bring to attention very soon. They don't report to any command of the police. They just become a militia of a governor. Of course, I'm also interested to be one, but I'm not saying it's the right thing to do. So I think because it's not a subject of the day, it's an issue that we are considering as a committee, really to have an engagement with the ministry on how we are going to farm up the loose end on the issue of these guns. So let's really just a minute and Wario, so that we close this and go to the next. Yes.
And I really want to thank him because the other day he was in Nakuru, he was able to speak to the parents. But I'm happy that, again, he has repeated that he is going to bring all these reports in 3 months. But CS, it is so scaring to discover that the people who are supposed to protect the lives of the people are the ones killing these innocent people. And what I want to ask today as a member of this committee, as a leader from Nakuru, if someone is found to be having maybe he has done some mistake, I don't think it is right for the security people to kill instead of arresting and taking them to court instead of killing. It's a concern and it's really bringing a lot of problems everywhere. As parents, we cannot allow this. As leaders, we cannot allow this. But I want to thank you because you've committed yourself that in 3 months you'll bring a report that will speak on Honorable Warriors and the Nakuru matter that concerns the AWS and Kenya Forest Service, where 2 people lost their lives and parents are still waiting for the reports. Thank you.
Professor, you want to talk about it?
Yes, on the same.
The killing. Then we give
Thank you, Chair. For the purposes of record, my name is Professor Akuja, Member of Parliament for the Constituency. Chair, I think KWS has been spot on killing innocent people. A case in point is where KWS sprayed bullets using an helicopter in Turkana, Lake Turkana. Members of Parliament for those particular constituencies, especially Turkana North and Turkana Central, raised as even in this committee, and efforts to reach even the DG for KWS has been futile. And that case came way back, like somewhere in February. And that case, nobody has followed. So KWS has gone even beyond using helicopters to spray innocent people and kill them, and they're not taking anywhere. So CS, you need to comment on that because that has been raised several times and nobody is giving an ear. Thank you.
So before Kekai, I want you to know on the issue of the electoral, actually it came to the House separately. And even the speaker suggested that we had a joint meeting between the interior and the DG KWS. But the DG KWS, sorry to say, it became dodgy. Dodgy. And so kindly, this is your docket. I think I follow up on your suggestion of my colleague. Maybe you look away from being a jury so that we see the intervention on the killing of Kenyans in electoral by the Kenyans. So maybe let Kekai, then Wario, you will wrap up and close this.
Thank you, Chair. For the CS, we see it in the corporate, we see it in the developing societies. Because when you ask about how long will it take to finish a forensic test, we're talking of 3 months. Is it possible within your plan, as part of good practice, to ensure that there is a documented process flow so that where you sit or where the PS sits, if in the event there's an issue, a similar issue coming up, we can say within 14 days, if a gun or the remains are provided, we are able, you can say it on top of your, that look, within 14 days we'll have this sort of a process flow. Because if you talk to your counterparts in developed societies, they will actually tell you we can get it even within 72 hours. You've mentioned the issue of laboratories. With our friendly devolved partners, because when you talk about budget, we're struggling as a country in terms of funding, but I've made efforts to speak to our traditional friends. An example, to even plant here a laboratory, which in the process they'll also give you trainers, and they'll also ensure that there's that continuous improvement in terms of technology. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate also the CS for trying to give justice to the family. Also, Chairman, the CS said the NPS or the DCI, they're independent. So I am kindly requesting the committee also separately to invite the DCI to come and explain, because this matter is very weighty. The CS said he has answered in the Senate. No action has been taken, and now before the National Assembly. I'm kindly requesting, because this matter has really brought stress even to the community. Your able PS was there with the president, I think in June. The same place, Connie. In fact, President felt for them, he gave them sub-county. You know, those people live far away from Garsen. Around 167 kilometers from Garsen. There is no police presence. Last parliament, we built a police, a very big one. It still is the police post. When the matter comes, they report to Garsen. So I think CS also, you promised to come and open the Tarasa sub-county. I think you should do it as soon as possible for those people to get justice and government service closer to them. So I'm kindly requesting the committee, if possible. I'm not doubting the response by the CS, but 3 months is long, Chair. He said in 3 months. 3 months is very long.
I think the CS was clear on that point, that of course having the file already with the DPP, we give him some... Of course, Mr. Chair,
I'm requesting
okay, I'm suggesting
for the time.
We are concerned as you are. We know an innocent Kenyan has lost life unnecessarily. So because the CS is in charge and of course responsible with the policy and directive, normally we have a very close interaction and engagement. Maybe once we come back from the recess, we able to give an update. If necessary, we may call again the CS with the DCI to come.
Most obliged, Chair.
Just quickly, Chair, so that we finish on this issue. First, let me let me appreciate that there are policy issues that are coming from this question, which are beyond the death of Mr. Jarso and also Brian Odhiambo in Nakuru and other places. The question of how do you hold accountable KWS rangers across the country?
Even county rangers.
Yes, I will come to the county one, but for KWS and KFS, KWS and KFS, there is no reason, in my opinion, why this committee cannot propose an amendment to the IPOA Act to include all the armed, as long as not the Kenya Defense Forces, these all other armed agencies or institutions in the country to come under the IPOA oversight, so that then they know that there's a watchdog that is watching them. But there's also no reason why the KFS itself and KWS cannot have internal mechanisms of a separate internal mechanism that deals with the rangers themselves, so that you can be able to deal with these questions of discipline and perhaps improve on training. I'm not saying the police don't have the same problem, that they do, but as soon as it happens, we have a POA in place, we have the internal mechanism we have, and now it's acceptable, even within the police command, that there is no need to defend a police officer who has committed excesses because he is operating outside the requirements of the law. We only defend police officers who perhaps found themselves in a fight with armed groups and so forth. But for somebody who goes to kill an innocent civilian, the law is very clear when it comes to the police, but it should extend to KWS and KFS. On the part of the Kenya, the KPR, Kenya Police Reservist, or National Police Reservist, who are either operating as rangers in counties or the security we are using in different places, I don't think, Mr. Chair, there is a reason why IPOA should not be involved. I don't know why. Because they are police reservists. They are part of the National Police Service. They are even coordinated from the headquarters of the IG's office. So there is absolutely no reason. Indeed, cognizant of the challenges we have in terms of command and control of the KPR or the NPR, we have now working on the revised policy that is ongoing. In fact, working together with NPS. I should be meeting the team tomorrow to update how far they have reached, because we want to have clarity. We have 10,000, although we are not very clear because of the old KPR team. When I went on a river, I remember Honorable Ali, that people are saying we have even KPRs who are over 80 years old, because they were registered in 1960s, 1970s. Nobody has followed up where they are. They have their old wooden gun, We in this policy, we want to make sure that everybody is registered, everybody is accountable to an OCS in the neighborhood. We have clarity of when do you cease to be an NPR. You know, if you are aging or you become, in fact, in some places, the old KPR, they consider the gun as a family property. So it's always handed over from there to this son, to this uncle, you know, so because there was no clarity of policy on how to manage it. Now that we have up to 400 in one county, 500 in one county, it's important that they are all organized so that they don't become, they don't support criminal activities in where they are. They are accountable to the OCS, but also accountable to IPOA and accountable to the National Police Service. Because 10,000 is a critical number. NPR plays a very critical role. Most of these MPs that come from marginalized areas, they think the only request is NPR. When they come, they say, please, we want the NPR. They don't even ask for further deployment of police officers. They ask for locally the NPR. So as we increase the numbers, we want to make sure that the policy. I promise that in the next 2 months, we should be done with this process so that we bring it to this committee. And then we can have a workshop to discuss it. And then we continue with the stakeholder engagement. And eventually, we will have clarity on command. Where law needs to be amended, we will then leave it to the committee with the proposals of amendment so that they can do the amendment. But at the moment, it is standard operating procedures that we want to put in place for the NPR. The last thing is...
So maybe, says, because I know Masara wanted to say something, for your information, actually, not surprisingly, the issue of the very ordinary NPR, which we are using in our North Rift, the north part of the country, I don't want to emphasize the importance.
Yeah.
Actually, the problem we have, and I'm talking out of experience, is of course even the game rangers.
Yes.
Because now their recruitment is done by the county governments. Of course, their remuneration done by the same. And majority of the time, they recruit their supporters. So here are supporters who are armed with sophisticated guns. Of course, we then have the rogue governors. They convert these people to be part of their militia or organizing group. I'm sorry to use that word, because of course, exceptionally, they are good ones. But now, because I don't want to bring that, it's a big topic, and I think it is a conversation that we will plan. We have been having issues as committee, so that if need be to affirm some loose end in our acts, we need to, because like in Narok, I've given you an example, you are also a constituent there. They don't respond to any command of our police. It is the employees of the governors, they're the support group of our governor, and these are armed people. But now, maybe we don't open that, but
no,
we
the
are
point
planning.
I was just saying is that rangers are KPR or NPR. I wish that understanding was fast achieved. So what we are doing in the policy proposal is to see how then these rangers can be answerable to the OCS in the next door, and where do they interact with the county police, county security committee or sub-county security committee. That nexus is what is missing, both for rangers, and you know rangers are in Narok, Marsabit, they are in Laikipia, they are in Isiolo, they are in Samburu, they are in Tana River. So a number of these places across the country, and I don't know if Turkana have the rangers also for county government, but it is important that, and you know, the interesting bit of the rangers actually is that they can do a very good job. In Laikipia, for example, they have been very supportive in terms of fighting banditry. And in some, I went to one of the ranches, conservancy, sorry, and I was shown the way they are kitting their rangers, the way they are giving propaganda, of course, with the permission of government, and that technology they use, including drones, has helped in banditry in that area. In fact, I feel like I wish there was a way we would be organizing all the NPR across the country. But of course, you know, they're paid better, you know, they are kitted better. And so we can get value from these rangers. I don't think we properly organized and with proper view of the police service, they can be of great help. And the ones in Laikipia have been of great help in recovery of livestock, including recently where the Conservancy is also offered, including their aerial power to support recovery of a lot of livestock in the neighborhood. So there's a benefit that comes with it. I don't really think that there's anything wrong with the county government establishing and putting these people. And ordinarily, if you are employed at the time of, if the governor is Honorable Tongoyo, and you have been employed at that time, generally as human beings, some loyalty is here and there. But as long as they're trained and they appreciate that that loyalty cannot go beyond certain boundary because you are an armed officer of a national government, then they will know that they will be held into account. And if we bring IPOA to the mix, it doesn't matter who supported me to be in office, I will try to act independently. And it's also, of course, source of also livelihood and employment locally. So there is a lot of benefits that come with it, including in the conservancies.
We'll close this. Masara, you want to say something? Is it a comment or a question?
It's just a comment. PS and CS, the path you are following is very good, but I took a different path. Why do you think 23 men with a gun shooting one person without a gun? It is a mental issue and psycho support issue. That's why I have a bill. And this bill was generated as a result of a research which was done. Now that you see now, in my first term as a parliamentarian, I concentrated on the police officers because these issues were more of in the police officers. But you see now we are bringing KWS, many cases where they are killing other people. So this bill, Chair, I support you. I thank you for supporting it in the third reading. Why don't you go through it so that maybe we can include KWS and other bodies, because the research indicated very clearly that our men and women in uniform are facing a lot of psychosocial support issues. And the bill is going to bridge the gap. So before it concluded in the third reading, maybe we can see, because in the third reading we are able to include other clauses. So maybe the ministry can go through it so that we fast track it. It will help our men and women in uniform who are carrying guns, because there must be a problem why there are rampant cases of them shooting civilian. Thank you, Chair.
Chair, sorry, I forgot to respond to Honorable Kakai's question on the lab. The lab requires, I agree with him that in some cases we need to work together with our development partners who are willing to support the equipping of the lab. But you know, this is a security sector. The first priority should, or the first point of call should be the government of Kenya, where it should be ourselves putting resources to this. But I agree with him that where we have traditional partners that we can work together, we can work with them to ensure that we equip the lab. And again, when I engage the DCI, it's not just about, we may have time to discuss the question of forensics and evidence and the need for us to finance that sector. You know, because of the competing issues of budgetary concerns, there are even places like, for example, government chemist, extremely important, yeah? But where are the funds? They are generally underfunded, yet they are extremely important in collection of evidence and in prosecution. Part of the reason why there is the delay in the Shakahola closing of the cases is because of the government chemist's capacity. So we need to work towards this. But we have made strides in government. We should not look like we are crying throughout. We have made a lot of strides. But you know, Kenyans are demanding cutting-edge technology, cutting-edge investigations in the shortest time possible, but we have to balance our ability to finance these processes with also the competing interests in different sectors, including in the social and educational sector. On the Tarasa sub-county and the Kone police station, we agreed that we will equip Kone police station and we will operationalize Tarasa, and I look forward to us going back to Tana River to make sure that that is done, because some of these areas government is very far. And as been explained, you need to go to these marginalized counties to realize the real reason why sub-counties are being created is to cover the vastness of these areas. There may be no much population, but every life matters, and we must be able to do so. And Mr. Chair, I wanted to clarify that when we talk about rangers, it's not just rangers for the county government. Also conservancies have rangers. So all these rangers and everybody need to be organized. And this bill we are working on and the policy we are working on, actually the policy we are working on, shall answer all these issues. One of the reasons why I'm fairly passionate about reorganizing KPR is because I come from an affected area. And so as a senator, I've seen it through, where you give people guns, you have not trained them, they are not accountable to anybody, so you are not sure which day they will join the crooks and which time they are going to defend the government and the people. So it is important for us to make sure that we organize this issue. Thank you very much, and I think we have exhaustively for now engaged on that issue. Oh, no, something Piers has just reminded me here. You might need to have a meeting separately. Maybe jointly with the Committee of Wildlife and Tourism to discuss this issue of KWS, and perhaps also another meeting with KFS, because these issues keep coming. And the police, they see this as colleagues. So before even an enforcement is done, if you see the amount of delay that occurred in Nakuru in terms of the access and search for the body of Brian Odhiambo, it was because there were protocols that the police had to get in terms of you have to write, it has to be escalated to DG's office before access is gained to the park. That was totally unnecessary, and I think it's some of those issues that need to be dealt with, because if the police quickly access the park, perhaps evidence would have been, we would have gotten the evidence related to the arrest or arrest of Mr. Brian Odhiambo. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So you can move to the next question, but on the last part, I think I'm going to suggest, or direct rather, we're going to have a joint meeting, as suggested by the CS and the PS, between ourselves and the Committee on Wildlife, where your office and the KNWS will be represented, so that we can exhaust such concerns. So the next question from Honorable Hussein Barre.
The Chair, that's question number 3. I'd like to respond as follows. Honorable Chairperson, members of the committee, the Member of Parliament for Tabach Constituency, Honorable Hussein Barre, has requested a statement regarding the rampant cases of human trafficking in northern Kenya. The Honorable Member particularly sought to be informed on 1, a comprehensive report on the investigation into human trafficking in northern Kenya and the country, including investigations into the operations of involved recruitment agencies. Mr. Chair, according to reports on missing persons, the police have confirmed several cases of human trafficking where individuals lure youth with promise of a better future abroad. The details are as follows. In Mandera, for example, on 27th, OB number 27/3012 of 2024, Halima Hassan Sheikh, a resident of Bula Mpya and a member of Somali Ogaden sub-tribe, reported that her 19-year-old daughter, Nasteha Mohammed Sheikh, a grade 8 student at Bula Mpya Junior Secondary School, left home on 29th of December 2024 at around 10:30 hours to visit the Mandera town market to purchase a pair of shoes, but did not return. Efforts to reach her via phone were unsuccessful. DCI officers launched an investigation and established that she had crossed the border into Ethiopia via Suftu. Through collaboration with officers from Ethiopia, she was intercepted on 6th of January 2025 in the Gode region while en route to Addis Ababa. She revealed that she had been befriended by a man on Facebook who had promised to take her to Germany. and he had planned to meet her in Addis Ababa. However, she refused to disclose her Facebook account details to investigators, claiming her phone had crashed. Due to lack of cooperation from both her and her parents, she was eventually handed over to her family. On OB number 2719/11/2024, Mandera Police Station again, Abdirahman Nur Ahmed, a resident of Bulak Kamor, reported that his 17-year-old son, Zakaria Abdirahman, a Form 2 student at Kamor Mixed Secondary School, went missing on 18th of November 2024 at around 600 hours. Before his disappearance, he had informed his brothers, indicating his intention to travel to Libya through Ethiopia in pursuit of a better life. Efforts to locate him are ongoing in collaboration with Ethiopian authorities and Kenya KDF liaison officer in Ethiopia. Again, in Mandera Police Station, OB number 5912 of 2025, Bilal Ali Nur Mohammed went missing on 21st of February 2021, but the matter was never reported to the police. His family later discovered that he was being held captive in Libya, where kidnappers demanded a ransom of 2,350,000. His parents, Hussein Ibrahim Mohammed and Rama Isaac Hassan, made the payment through the Bashil money transfer on 7th Street, Eastleigh, Nairobi. The money was sent to Siad Nur Mohammed in Kismayo, Somalia, and Hinda Ibrahim Mohammed in Mogadishu. The case remained unreported until 12th March 2025, when Bilal contacted his mother from an undisclosed hospital in Tunis, Tunisia, claimed that he had been shot in both legs. He revealed that after being abducted to Libya, he managed to escape in November 2023 alongside other captives, including 2 Kenyans from Mandera, who are now caring for him in hospital. He also identified Bilal Shukri Ahmed, a 31-year-old Kenyan of the Godia ethnicity, as the person who facilitated his movement. Following this information, angry members of the public attacked the alleged human trafficker. However, NPR officers on patrol intervened, rescuing him and placing him in custody at Mandera's police station. The case was handed over to APTU in Mandera detachment for further investigation. On 14th March 2025, the suspect was arraigned before Mandera law courts under the case number MCCR 01825, where a 21-day custodial order was granted. The case is set for mention on April 4th, 2025. It was set for mention that day, and with ATPU Mandera detachment handling the investigation. Preliminary findings indicate that certain individuals are involved in hoodwinking the youth with various promises of a brighter future abroad. Investigations are ongoing to determine whether these individuals are affiliated with recruiting agencies or organized groups. Number 2, measures being taken to ensure that the families and individuals who suffered these atrocities get justice and rehabilitation. The following measures are being taken to ensure that the families and individuals who suffered these atrocities get justice and rehabilitation. Implementation of victim-centered approaches. Measures are in place to prioritize the well-being of victims, including immediate rescue operations, legal aid, and psychosocial support to help them recover from their experiences. B, collaboration between law enforcement and humanitarian agencies. A coordinated framework has been strengthened to facilitate the reintegration of rescued victims, ensuring they receive the necessary support to rebuild their lives. C, action against traffickers and recruitment agencies. The police is actively investigating and acting upon information on recruitment agencies and suspicious individuals involved in trafficking, leading to their apprehension and being arraigned before court. D, community awareness and education. Awareness campaigns are being conducted to educate communities and recognizing and reporting human trafficking cases, empowering them to play a role in prevention and intervention efforts. Number 3, long-term measures being put in place. The following long-term measures are being implemented to address the case of human trafficking in the country and formalize labor exports from the country. Strict enforcement of labor migration regulation. Existing laws governing labor migration are being strictly enforced to prevent exploitation, to ensure safety of migrant workers. As you must have seen, Mr. Chair, there's a lot of reports also, not just in the northern part, but in Nairobi and Kisii and Nakuru and Eldoret, where this some recruitment agencies are operating and exporting Kenyans in quotes, trafficking them to dangerous destinations, including Iraq, including places like Saudi and other parts of the world, including Turkey and other places. Investigation and arrest of human traffickers. Enforcement agencies are actively identifying, apprehending, and arraigning before court persons involved in human trafficking. C, imposition of deterrent punishment. The courts are awarding strict penalties to those found guilty of human trafficking to discourage further involvement in such activities. And D, enhanced border security and scrutiny. Security measures along Kenya northern border have been tightened to curb illegal migration and trafficking activities. 5, community sensitization awareness campaign, which is ongoing, and deployment of security officers for surveillance and intelligence, and finally strengthening collaboration with stakeholders, which includes NGOs, international organizations, governments, like the case of Ethiopia, and this cooperation is disrupting trafficking routes, which mainly are leading to Arab countries. I thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Waziri, for the attempt. Waziri, I must say this issue is quite serious in northern Kenya and also in the country. And there is a need, the youth are really taking advantage of because of the widespread unemployment that is across the country. So there is a need actually to sensitize the communities and probably use the provincial administration, the chiefs on the ground. Some effort has to be put so that they take a lead role in sensitizing the public. And also, attempt must be made because from my investigation, casual investigation, there are people who are recruiters in different towns who are recruiting these youth, giving them hopes of better lives in other areas. And if time is taken by the security agency, these people can be found. So some people must serve as an example to the others so that it rings a bell in everybody who is participating in these activities. Let's also do serious sensitization on our youth, on the dangers that they face. I know this is coming on and off, and I'm sure, I was told there are 25 young girls from Wajir who are stranded across Libya and those North African countries as they head to Europe. So this is just a small report, but I must say this is seriously widespread. People's organs are being sold in the markets across board. So this is seriously something that's affecting Kenyans and the young people. So deliberate effort from your office through your provincial administration structures, this sensitization has to be done. And we must have some people who will serve as an example. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair. And Waziri, if you have realized when you are going through your statement, most of the OPs were from Mandera. This is an issue that is giving us headache as politicians from those areas. Because a mother who has never handled 10,000 shillings, never. Her kid just goes, you know, they are brokers. Around Isli, around Nairobi, they're here. They're not any other place, they're here. They don't charge any shilling when they're taking them. When they take them there to Libya or any other places, now they are told, go and talk to your parents, let them send 3 million shillings. The mother has never handled even 10,000 shillings. Then they come to the politicians now. I have personally contributed to, you know, mothers are crying, their kid, they send a video. You know, some of them shot live. They are shot at the, you know, at the leg. Others are beaten with heavy, you know. You cannot imagine what they are doing. The videos are here in my phone. It will shock you. Now they have to go around the communities. You know, they go around all the leadership. They contribute the money. Some succeed now. Once you send that 3 million shillings, they succeed and go back. Go to maybe Germany or UK or any other place, then the youth now can see the person who has been beaten and the video there is now sending money to the families. Then others are all going. Just last week, 2 ladies were slaughtered in Libya, 2 of them from my constituency. In fact, one had 1 kid. She left the kid with her sister, then said she's going to the market. Kumbe, she's just going. When she went to Libya, I think they hold her for 2 weeks. When they missed the money, they slaughtered her. They sent while they were the dead body. You cannot imagine what is happening. So I think what the ministry needs to do, Waziri, these people are here, they are not far. They are here. Our security agents can investigate and get hold of these people. If you get hold of the culprits, then you are done. You are done. I think we need to show an example to those people who are trafficking our youths. And because they, you know, they have no job, they have no employment, they have no otherwise. Just 5 weeks ago, the son to my sister who was in my sister's home here in South Sea, we missed him. After looking for the boy for 3-4 days, I used my, you know, my network in our police, our NIS. We got hold of him from Sudan, or en route to those areas. They boarded him at Kenya Airways, and I took him from here. Nilipeleke Mandera sahi ako huko, nilipeleke mama. This is a problem that is there and we cannot ignore. I think we need quick action.
I think, Chairman, given the concern, I think, Waziri, you need to take a deliberate action. This calls for a collective effort, the local leadership and your office, because it appears that we have so many small cells that are recruiting people. In fact, you cannot say these are recruitment agencies. These are just criminal individuals, not registered anywhere, and they are doing their work freely. So if you take a deliberate action to mobilize the leadership in northern Kenya, so that this information, because I also understand that in some areas, people hardly open up and give information to security agencies. But with this information that is coming and is very alarming, it is important to have that and move. And secondly, it is also important that our intelligence service, you know, if the cells are around Isli that are recruiting, this is an urban area, it is very easy to track and disable these individuals instead of just letting them run amok and mess up with the security situation of our country. Thank you.
Chair, when you listen to these stories from the honorable members, it is a very weighty issue. And when I see us, I think we need to look at some deliberate measures on how to curb this problem. My concern is about the news we normally get in the newspapers and all this, that some people have traveled from Moyale and they are arrested in Isiolo. So how do they come to Isiolo? There are roadblocks all over. So we need to know, because there's a lot of money involved. It's a lot of money. It's actually business. So when I see us, I think we need to address this issue from the source of problem, particularly the agents who are here. And then also, we need to look at our police, our security officers, particularly those who have stayed in a place for a very long time. So they get used to these things. I mean, it's business for them also. So we need to be changing officers who are in these areas so that they can be able to, those who are there are not used to these things, so that we are able to curb this problem. So that is one of the problems why we need to get. I know unemployment is a serious thing. Of course, it is worldwide, but we need to really be serious as security people, address these cartels. Actually, they are cartels, which we need to address, and address it seriously. NIS must play a bigger role, because they know these people. So that we will be able to arrest them, get them arrested, lock them in, take them to court. So, Chair, I think that's an issue which we need to address. Thank you.
Chair, thank you. I just want to sympathize with the police. I sympathize with the police because, like Mheshimiwa Waitan says, a girl leaves her child with a sister and says she's going to the market, yet she knows she's already made plans to go to Libya, etc. But now it doesn't become the girl's problem. It becomes the police's problem. So indeed, the police really have a heavy responsibility. But I think on our part as leaders, we must also go on a sensitization program. If we know that is happening, we also must take responsibility and sensitize the people in the community that this is happening, and don't allow yourself to be fooled. If then they allow themselves to be fooled, the police will help in looking for them. But it's to curb that the problem, it will not just be a police problem solely. You know, we must sensitize, and it's upon us to actually do that sensitization. Because otherwise, the police cannot be everywhere all the time when this young girl is talking to this man on a Facebook, whatever, you know. So we also have to play our part. The police, we know we don't have enough, and we know they don't have enough to go around the population. But as leaders, for me, listening to these stories, I'm like, hey, even the police, I sympathize with them without saying that they shouldn't do their job. But we as leaders, we can also take an active role and go on a sensitization program in our communities. That might also help some of these girls, because many of them are naive and they're just looking at the hope or the promise of a better life. But if you sensitize them, probably they'll think twice before they fall into those traps.
So, yes, I don't know whether majority were just comment. Maybe the vice wanted to add something.
Thank you very much, Waziri. I think I want to say that this is much bigger than you. It is about the society. When a Muslim girl going to secondary school or even primary school goes to the market, it is not the tradition of the Muslim, because she must be escorted by the brother, the father, or the mother, so long as she is not married. So the first drawing board, we must go back to the society to really have, we must restore some discipline and order in the society. Secondly, this issue of human trafficking, it is linked to drug trafficking, it is linked to arms trafficking, it is also linked to terrorism. Last night I was driving from Marsabit, and I stopped at 6 roadblocks, together with one at Aicha's post, where we have the multi-agency. And every of these askaris are going to inspect, they are going to check the IDs. But they could have just flagged me to just go through. But as courtesy, and also I wanted to observe, I stopped and I told them I want to wait. But in the process, what I have come to learn is drugs like Bang leave Ethiopia. They pass through Moyale, then they come all the way to Turbi, to Marsabit, to Laisamis, to Achas Post, Isiolo, and then it finds itself in Nairobi. Then you ask yourself, what is the purpose of all these roadblocks? Then it means something is not adding up. That so long as our security agencies, there's complicity in them doing their work, then we are unlikely to resolve the conundrum of what is happening in our country. So for that reason, really my request to you is, recently there's this case of people going to Vietnam and Thailand, Cambodia. What we really want to see is people before court. The media brings all this drama, and then it dies down. But people are in business, people who are doing this. So unless people are before court, and I'm told most of these traffickers are people who hold big money. So they will go to the police station and they excuse themselves to come back another day, not to even to record a statement. So we need to close the loop in terms of who are these people who are involved, so that everybody must have their day before justice. A lady from Mandera is going to give 3 million. Where do you think that money is going to come from? It comes from politicians. Will these politicians have this money? Most likely not. They borrow from all of you. that, oh, please, you send me something, eventually it puts the country in a lot of financial difficulties, because that could just be one case that is before us. Which are these many cases that we don't know about? The other thing is this community policing. Unless we have a very effective community policing, so that an incident happens, the child disappears for 2 hours, the community around there must know. The police must know, so that there is alert. But once it becomes normal, disappearance becomes normal, then I think you are unlikely from where you sit to enforce the law or to direct the police in one way or another. Thank you, Chairman.
Mr. Chair, I totally agree with the comments, and I appreciate the comments from the members. This thing of human trafficking, as you know, is a serious global problem, okay? And we have laws here, we have institutions globally. It manifests itself in, in very different forms, some of which are very subtle. For example, if you're talking about the people who are going to Myanmar, Vietnam, and all those other countries, ordinarily, they will just go through the normal recruitment agencies, and then, you know, the process is processed, and they're saying people are going there, they are going to do official jobs, and then when they reach there, they are used for sexual exploitation and other things. So it's also important that we look at these things holistically in mapping out, for example, the labor agencies. We need to have few registered non-labor migration agencies. We also need to make sure that the society is aware of this, what is trafficking, you know, and you know, before someone allows their child to go out of the country, they should be able to know where they're going, which job, where is the application letter, and so forth. But again, they also take advantage of illiteracy. That's why they go for the marginalized areas where literacy levels are very low. I don't know. This is just off my head. I don't want to be a roadside declaration kind of a person. But I think at some point, like we have established other special units, perhaps a special police unit for human trafficking will have to be established at some point. It might be actually necessary, so that even if it is not a fully fledged, that it is all over, but a smaller unit that thinks through, coordinates the assesses the patterns, receives the intelligence report, and works with the officers on the ground. It might be necessary to have a special unit to deal with human trafficking. We already have a unit that deals with the anti-narcotics unit. Again, we have already had a lengthy discussion with NACADA. We think that NACADA's proposal is that this anti-narcotic unit needs to be strengthened. The IG is working on how best it can be made stronger. In his own words, in the words of the IG, he would like to see it to be at the same level with anti-terror unit, because also narcotics and drugs are becoming a problem with us. So in the coming days, we will be seeing a more bolstered, strengthened anti-narcotic unit. And I think that emanating from this discussion, thinking around human trafficking unit might be necessary to confront the new challenges that we are facing as a country. As you can see, the cases I read here go back to 2020, 2019. You know, it's been an old case. And then, as Vice Chair said, it's linked also to terrorism, among others. As you all know, that in Marsabit the other day, there was a major operation in Marsabit and Isiolo to dismantle cartel, drug cartel there, led by the OLF. And in the process, we realized that there are also elements of Al-Shabaab that are part of it, because they were involving themselves in acts of mining, at the same time human trafficking and drugs. And we are discussing about Kenyans getting lost, but we also know that these characters were using Kenya as a route for trafficking persons from Ethiopia, through those routes that have been mentioned, and sometimes also through Garissa to Tana River, then crossing Savo East towards Taita Taveta and to Tanzania in some cases, or through Kwale to Tanzania, or through the sea. Because there are many, many sea points that are unmanned. So these are challenges that we must confront, and perhaps, as you have said, it is something we need to think through how best we can make it bigger and intergovernmental in nature, so that then if there's that unit for anti-trafficking, they will then have the human trafficking unit can also work together with the labor agencies to monitor the trends. I can also not emphasize the fact that most members here have said community awareness and civic awareness is extremely important. It's important for us as leaders to voice these issues continuously and to ask religious leaders in every area as we come to use the Friday prayers, Sunday, Saturday prayers to bring awareness. You'll be surprised, Mr. Chair, that this is not just confined to the north. Some of these recruitment agencies traffic people. And there are even a number of cases from Kisii and other parts of the country, Nairobi, of course, in the people we have in Myanmar, Vietnam, and Saudi Arabia and other parts of the world. So it is something that we must continue labor migration without giving it a bad name through human trafficking. And that is, we must separate the chaff from the wheat. I think we take most of these as suggestions from the members on how to make things better. Yes, I agree with Honorable PC Sigay that Ambassador Sigay that this thing of officers overstaying in a place should come to an end. And again, based on my recent visit to Coast, there was a strong recommendation from all the police officers, OCSs who are there, that it was also dehumanizing to have somebody operate somewhere in Tarasa, as we were told by, or in a place of operation for more than 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. You know, we were being given, Mr. Chair, even cases where a police officer, because he's been posted to Tana River, he thought that he's going to serve there for 5 years, then move to another place like that, or posted to Mandera border. It's an operation area he thought he was going to do for some time, then come to another place and there will be changes. They even decide to marry for the time being in that area, in the hope that in future he will now go and marry properly the way he wanted. And so it's it's very personal to the well-being of these officers who are serving in different places. We have agreed with National Police Service that in the next 3 months, all transfers must be done. Anybody who has served more than 3 years, there must be changes across the country, so that somebody who has been in an operation area can go to a different part of the country that doesn't have the challenges they are facing in the corner they are in. And then leaders and so forth. I think roadblocks, Vietnam, yeah, all these other issues, we take them as suggestions to improve our response on these issues. I think I have a last question, Mr. Chair, which is from Honorable Kakai Bissau, which is question number 9. There are other 3 questions. I don't see the honorable members here. You will guide me after that, but let me first go through the one for Honorable Kakai Bissau, which is a statement regarding the disappearance and tragic death of Miss Lydia Bkhala. Honorable Chairperson, the honorable member sought this information in 4 parts, and I'd like to respond as follows. First, part 1, steps taken on the disappearance of Miss Lydia Bkhala and actions taken by Kilimani and Kabete Police Station to investigate the case. Mr. Chair, the disappearance of Ms. Lydia Bkhala was initially reported at Riruta Police Station and subsequently referred to DCI Kabete, who took over the investigations. As such, was initiated on 8th of January 2025. The deceased's motor vehicle registration number KCU 931V was found abandoned in the Riruta area. The scene was processed and documented, and the crime scene investigation team conducted a forensic examination. The vehicle was towed to DCI Dagoretti as an exhibit. Number 2, progress of investigation. Mr. Chair, the scene was processed and documented by the crime scene and investigation team from DCI Dagoretti. Relevant samples were collected for analysis and subsequently submitted to the government chemist in the lab reference number provided for, which is A142/225. On 11th of January 2025, a mutilated body of an unidentified female adult was discovered from Gataka Forest. As a result, the DCI Homicide Directorate took over the investigation from DCI Kabete on 13 January 2025. The DNA analysis was conducted, established that 99% maternity match between the discovered body and the deceased mother, confirming the victim's identity. The toxicology report is currently pending. Report on the whereabouts of Mr. Joseph Philip Orwa as a person of interest and a key suspect, and the findings of the police on his connection with the disappearance of Ms. Bkhala. The suspect, Joseph Philip Orwa, was the last person seen with the deceased on 5th of January 2025 at about 1400 hours at his residence in Ongatorongai, which is the approximate time the deceased's phone went off. Further investigation revealed that the suspect was using 2 mobile numbers, both of which were switched off shortly after the murder. The suspect's mobile number was later traced along Kikuyu Road at around 600 hours, which aligns with the same time the motor vehicle was abandoned within the same area. Investigation established a link between the suspect and the deceased motor vehicle, tracking its movement from Ongatorongai to Ngong and finally to Riruta area, where the vehicle was disposed of. The suspect was captured on CCTV footage and multiple petrol stations along this route on the night of 6th January 2025. The DCI investigation team visited the suspect's home in Oyugis and its environs and documented substantial evidence. Efforts are in place to trace the suspect's whereabouts and subsequently arraign him in court to face appropriate charges. Measures in place to support families of missing persons during investigations, including coordination between different police stations and the role of forensic technology in identifying and tracking movement of potential suspects. Upon receiving reports of missing persons, the police immediately commenced investigations utilizing forensic technology to trace the victim's last known movements and identify potential suspects. Throughout the investigation, the police keep the victim's family informed at every stage, providing regular updates and necessary support. Once suspects are apprehended, they are arraigned before court of law to answer charges, thus ensuring justice is served. In short, Mr. Chair, the suspect is still at large, but the evidence is overwhelming, overwhelmingly pointing at him. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, CS, for that comprehensive feedback. The bottom line is the people of Masaba in Community Constituency would like to know who killed Lydia. And you've talked about the phone being switched off. Now, even if the phone is switched off, are you confirming that it's never been switched on and using another mobile number? And 2, you've mentioned about the families being informed. I have been constantly been in touch with Mr. Bkhala, the father, and the mother as well. But so far, there's been no communication from your side, unless maybe it's on its way. But I think it would be very good to actually emphasize on that so that the persons who are affected also feel that actually they are being sorted. But the bottom line, we want to bring the killers of Lydia to book. And given the system that you have, I believe that sooner or later we'll bring the killers to book. So I'll appreciate also if you continuously kept us updated as the people's representative from community and also to the family. So I think we can keep the issue alive and keep us posted. Up to that, Chair, maybe if you could allow me also to raise some rider to the CS. To both the CS and the PS, I know your job is very demanding, hands-on, reactionary in terms of emergency. I don't know where you're headed to. When the next call rings, you might be going to an emergency response area. But there is the issue of gangs in Trans Nzoia, which I have constantly been in contact with both of you. trying to forward to you these messages, and I believe other leaders as well from Trans Nzoia, from the women rep to the senator to the other elected leaders. I believe that some of the situations we are seeing, because I remember, Chair, when there was a statement read in the House from Viga, do you remember when MP Muhaya brought the issue, we had to park and went, you know, in the waiting areas to discuss it, because already you had assured me that this was being worked on. There should be a way to mitigate these issues, CS. And you are aware, PS is aware. What are you doing about this issue of gangs in Trans Nzoia? I'm forced to bring it here because my several efforts to reach, I know you're busy, yes, but this will get out of hand. We must take some actions to mitigate it. You might give me the answer now, or later on we can organize with the rest of the colleagues from the county to come and sit down, but we need a quick action on this. And lastly, infrastructure. Chief's office. I know, or sub-county headquarters. An example, in Kimini, we don't have a sub-county headquarters. But if you went to other sub-counties, you see a lot of investment from your budget line. Now, even as you reorganize, could you relook into affirmative action? And on the chief's office, and we thank you for really expediting the issue of the village elders. But these village elders, most of the time, when we put up the chief's offices, we need to have like a standard plan where they can also have like a waiting area so that they can also have a decent life. Because I know today, without those village elders flowing through the information upwards to the assistant chiefs, DCC, up to the RC, up to your level, it will not be possible if it's not for these men and women. So yes, we appreciate you've come up with the issue of giving them the remuneration, but think also about their well-being in terms of the physical infrastructure. And as I said, also on the distribution, also think of the other marginalized sub-counties in the past, whereby you'll always see that some sub-counties actually, they've been left out. So even as you do the redistribution, for those who put requests across, kindly look into it. Thank you.
Maybe we.
I think this is straightforward.
Because we should be finishing in 10 or 15 minutes. Maybe a rider. You're normally very brief.
Yes. First of all, Chair, I want to thank you for this opportunity. I want to thank the CS, particularly for the tours you went the other day. This is what we want: visibility. One of the things which we face in this country is the issue of police doing a good job, but not keeping updates to the nation. When I say yes, we need to get the police up their game. We need them to be telling the nation about these sensitive issues which are coming up every now and then, so that the nation can be able to appreciate what they are doing. I'm very happy that the PS also came up with the issue of village elders. And let me tell you, Bonasias, I was there over the weekend. The village elders are very excited. It's because of what is coming out from the offices. I mean, the CS was there addressing issues. You were there in the coast. We need to see this thing. I want to ask the police to be updating, particularly on cases which are under investigation. You cannot say we are investigating forever. You must give us deadlines and say, in the next 1 month, we are going to give you an answer on this case. But when you have an open-ended investigation, nothing is coming up, we need the police to tell us what they are. They are doing a good job, but you see, they keep quiet. And the Office of Police spokesman, Mr. CS, must be endowed. The police spokesman must be able to be a person who can articulate, like the fellow who was there. Was it Obonyo or who? The spokesman who was the last. We need the police to come out and tell the country, because otherwise they'll be vilified. The people will say police are doing nothing, and yet they are doing a good job. So we need to see visibility. I like the way you are moving around the country and telling everybody what you are doing, and we are very happy. Thank you.
Back to you, Buenos Aires.
I think, Mr. Chair, just quickly, is that first of all, on the follow-up to the Mr. Bkhala's issue, Ms. Bukhala's issue, I think I will relay the information back to the DCI to update the family if the update has not been ongoing. But usually there is an investigation officer who always, in more investigation cases, who always updates families. And I think I will, if that has not been the case to Mr. Bukhala's family, I will make sure that I take it back. As to the whereabouts of this suspect, I believe that you can see all the evidence is pointing at one person. So the question is only where that person is. And I think now the investigation moved to who is the suspect to where the suspect is. And I believe that, again, with you know, as you can see, we will need collaboration with also neighboring countries, just in case if he ran away to the neighboring countries. And then on the chief's office, I agree with you that when we build the SCC's office, maybe we should always have consideration of where a chief or so can operate from. When we build the chief's office, we should have a place for the assistant chief where he can sit and the village elder. So we have been grappling with one full design of a police station of administrative units, so that then if you get well-wishers or NGCDF or any other person, they want to build a police station, they know the standard design of a police station. They know the standard design of a chief's office, standard design of, so that one, we will follow up to make sure that that is completed. Then we need to encourage as many members of the public as possible to give to these causes, to build a police station, to build a chief's office. It shouldn't be government alone. Even the business community can do so, because this is a joint collaboration between the community and government. And in cases where business community has been very active, let me say the case of Eastleigh, for example, security is greatly improved because the business community is working together, the local police, to invest in facilities, but also working relationship. And I think should be the case in many parts of the country. On the question of Trans Nzoia, I don't think that Trans Nzoia really have gangs at the level of gangs, but they have goons. At the moment, there are many goons attached to politicians in Trans Nzoia. They haven't matured properly to be a gang. You know, a gang is a very serious issue. A gang is led separately with proper chain of command and so forth. But there are goons that are attached to leaders, and we know a number of those goons are hanging around political actors. A lot has been done so far to deal with those, to dismantle those goons, but still a lot needs to be done, because these are people who are hired per session. So some leader who's going to some village, he doesn't want to go alone. I don't know why you're fearing his own people. You carry goons. They reach a funeral, they start a fight. The funeral is in disarray. The family is run away. And you know, we've had those cases in Matungu, we have those cases in Kitale. I am a school in Kitale, and I'm also a person who lives in its neighborhood. And there was a time you'd go to Kitale and walk in the streets normally. But now if you go to Kitale and you're walking around, you also have to get some people to escort you, because there are many goons around that can make your life very difficult. We've been working very hard with the county security team in Trans Nzoia, and I'll be visiting there as part of our county also visits. But a lot has been done to deal with this issue, but we'll still do more. This is just basically politics, very bad politics, which really we should not have in our country. And you see, one person organizes young people to heckle and fight others, then everybody else has to recruit people, because they realize that it is not enough to have security, formal security. You have to have also some bouncers to escort you. It starts like a nice thing, like you have some people to take you around. then slowly it grows to become organized goons. And then before long, it will now be gangs, the way Mheshimiwa said. So we are dealing with it. But if it reaches a stage where we have to arrest some politicians and deal with them, we'll do it so that we can make the county peaceful. There are some counties that are so peaceful, Mr. Chair. Yet there are some certain counties that have this kind of goods. You know, a number of these counties, I don't want to use my county as an example, but if you look at my county, anybody goes, leaders go together with their opponents, they go to the same meeting, they talk, they leave. Not a day that somebody organizes anything. You know, you don't have to prepare to go to Elgeyo Marakwet, and I must appreciate all the leaders that come from that county. But there are some counties I don't want to mention that you have to put a budget to go and visit your own constituency or to your own county for some people to escort you, and before long, they tax you this, tax you the other one, and the place becomes very chaotic. We need to work very hard to bring the country into some good level of order. And then on the issue of chief's office also, we depend on NGCDF. Let's work together. Support us also in some places. I am a firm defender of NGCDF, even when I was a senator, because I don't see the reason why in my constituency, for example, whether I am elected or not elected, I don't see how we should return money to Nairobi and then come here to beg to build classes and police stations and police. If there is a better model of decentralized resources than GCDF, and if we manage to get even the kind of returns that we get from NGCDF, if we got that from other devolved funds, if we got even a fraction of the devolved, for example, when we were in Senate, we were insisting, because the law says so, we're insisting that 40% of the money for devolution should go to development. But counties now cannot even reach 10%. Because they have inflated the human, because of experience of politics. So the wage bill has been increased. So if I come, I hire people. If I another one, I hire people. But the way NGCDF is so strict in terms of wage bill, almost 97% of the money go to development, it makes a difference. I am making a case on behalf of my ministry that even as we praise and appreciate NGCDF, let's work together on the security part. I know the schools have been built. We are almost at a level where we can say, yes, fairly built. But administrative units, which are extremely important, the chief's office, police station, we should. If you are talking about affirmative action in Trans Nzoia, because you have not gone to Tana River. You go to Tana River, the headquarters of Tana River, the county commissioner is living in some kind of a shanty there at the corner. That is his office. You know, as a committee, you need to go there. And you ask yourself, you know, if there is no definition of marginalization, that is outright marginalization. So we need to work on it. And because as a ministry, we are struggling with development funds in different places, if we can get cases of NGCDF supporting us, even if it is 50-50, then we can see the budget that is appropriated here. We can share 50-50, say, if it is 25 million to build a good police station, we can contribute 10, like that. Then the country can be better. And some constituencies are doing that, and they're doing very well. Some have not even attempted a single police station, Mr. Chairman.
Chair, could we kindly request the minister to make his support for NGCDF official?
It has always been official. It's on record. It has been on record from when I was a senator. No, even when it was when you used to have a fight between governors and I mean counties and constituencies. I'm on record, even as majority leader in the Senate, that we must separate our political competition and the place of the resource of NGCDF. And the facts speak for themselves. I know where Rosa is going, but I won't change my position. It's very firm. It's very, very official. affirmative action on infrastructure, village elders. On the village elders issue, we are very clear. The policy we are working on is to define what's a village. Then from there, we see what kind of support we'll give to the village elders. Because there are people volunteering now as village elders. Wait until it is said they will get some ex gratia or some support. Then suddenly there will be mushrooming of villages.
Yes.
You know, that now, oh yeah, now we are 5 villages. So we want first to work on the policy on where is a village and how do you define a village. In Nairobi, what's a village? In a rural area, what's a village? And who is a village elder?
Yes.
You must also remember, Mr. Chair, that there's an overlapping responsibilities here. You have a village elder, but even in the County Government Act, we have the village council.
Yes.
That is run by county governments. And the only county that has operationalized a village council is Samburu. And some other counties, and I think Kajiado is trying to do so, Narok is trying to do so. They must also be very careful not to inflate also the wage bill. But at the same time, how will these then village councils operate with a village elder that is working with the... We want to harmonize all that in the policy itself so that we don't have duplication. And eventually then we can amend the law to align the village together. And then I totally agree with Honorable Ambassador Sigay on the police. The police are doing a lot. The problem, they are only in public when they are responding to criticism. You know, the National Police Service, in terms of its communication, is only when they are being criticized that somebody has been abducted, somebody is missing, somebody is whatever. But on a daily basis, on a day-to-day basis. For example, I've said this because I saw the other day some newspaper writing about our security, and it's extremely embarrassing that you know, a nationally circulated newspaper would, in a desperate manner, speak about our security sector, including there is no country in the world, that its opposition or its newspapers will be discussing the strength or lack of its police. For example, even when ODM was in opposition, I never heard former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, for example, just hold on, yeah. As an opposition, as an opposition party, for the many years, even then, I never saw the former Prime Minister go somewhere and stand in a place and say, in Kenya, we don't have enough this and that to fight this kind of crime. Nobody does that. Because there is a difference between politics and national interest. So you can't wake up one day and say, oh, Kenya does not have number of helicopters or doesn't have doesn't have guns, doesn't have bullets or whatever the kind of thing. And I don't know who will teach these newspapers to understand the difference between national security and personal petty fights about this politician and that one because this is the honor of this place and that place. So we just need to be very, very... So our police officers, and I am saying this in the context of fighting terrorism, from the day we have been from the onset of Al-Shabaab, they have never stopped trying to come to our country. Yet our security people have never stopped defending this country. So the peace we have is not for the absence of the threat. It is because of the daily effort of our police officers, which includes the NPR, but also the daily effort of citizens who live in frontier counties. When I went to Todonyang, Mr. Chair, we depend on the NPR in Todonyang to protect our country because it is the citizens in that corner that are doing a very good job. Kibish, yes. You go to Mandera, you go to Marsabit, you go to Tana River, you go to Lamu, you go to West Pokot. Most parts of the border areas which are security prone, the citizens, the NPR, and the police are working together to secure our country. But because there was one incident here over Ramadan, another incident over Christmas, another incident over there, somebody blows up and says that this country is Tatars and so forth. Yet every day, the security are protecting this country. So the point you've made, PCCK, we take it seriously, and when we go back, we will communicate National Police Service to re-engineer their communication. If they have done certain investigation, like some of the things we are reading here, I think every so often, either the DCI himself as DCI in the world, when there are serious investigations that are going on in the US, for example, the FBI will come, the director of FBI himself will come and read, we have been following this investigation, this one, or CIA, and we've been doing this and this. So I think at some point the DCI should himself in person. And then the IG, every so often, maybe 4 times a year, update the country on certain issues. And then now the daily or weekly communication from their spokesperson. This kind of proactive communication will make people aware of the things the security sector is doing every day to avert any disaster in our country and any other problems in the nation. I totally agree, and we are doing a tour all over the country. Having done the coast region, we'll continue with the other regions. But I have learned from these tours that it's not a tourism kind of thing. We've been able to go there, solve instantly certain problems that should be solved instantly. For example, we were in Kilifi and we found 4 police officers who have been manning a police station for the longest, yeah, and they are drunk, completely, addicted. And immediately, by virtue of just being there, we took them to rehabilitation camp so that they can be attended to, because the community was saying these people are sick. They have been like this for 2 years and so forth. They are the only ones manning this police station. So sometimes it's not enough to operate from here in the city. Certain opportunities being there. You see with your own eyes also some infrastructure. When we are talking about affirmative action, you can see this one requires a police station, this one requires whatever. And this, and also the policies themselves. To be able to meet a police officer who has been in Tana River for 15 years in one operational area, and he comes from somewhere in Kisumu. You feel, by feeling and seeing them, you look at these things differently, and we look forward to doing so across the country, and perhaps re-energize our officers in terms of the service they are giving, but also change as much as we can as a team from the ministry on the issues of security. I think I leave it at that, Mr. Chair, and if it pleases you, perhaps because we have another meeting, we request that we come towards an end of this conversation.
Chair, can I say a word?
Yes.
And of course, the CS that earlier even indicated that you'll be having another meeting. You know, initially we have got about 11 questions, but you had exhausted at least the question whose members appeared. And I want to direct at this. For the rest of the question, we can able to have them, because already written responses, the table for records, the documents of the House. And there were 2 or 3. I think Mary talked that there was no sufficient time to have them responded to, which I did commit to the House.